Everybody and their grandma knows the song I Like That. You might not remember who sang it, but you've heard it. You've hummed it. You vibed to it at least once, whether it was in the club, on the radio, or during one of those McDonald's commercials that played every 5 minutes back in 2004. But here's what's wild. If I asked you right now to tell me the name of the artist behind that song, most of y'all would go blank. And if I told you what happened to him, you'd think I was making it up. Because the story of Houston Summers IV is hands down one of the most disturbing, heartbreaking, and flat-out ignored stories in R&B history. And the fact that nobody talks about it is part of the problem. So let's talk about it. Now let's set the scene real quick because context matters. It's 2004, the R&B world is booming. Usher just dropped Confessions and had every man in America scrambling to explain themselves. Tierra came through with Goodies and had the 1-2 step going crazy. Mario gave us Let Me Love You. Omarion was out here doing his little spins. If you were a young black male with a voice and a vibe, 2004 was your year to break through. Enter Houston, born Houston. Edward Summers IV on October 26, 1983 in Los Angeles. Raised in a strict Christian household, the boy could sing. He attended the Academy of Music at Hamilton High School in LA, which is basically a pipeline for future stars, and Houston was standing out from day one. His management team put together a tape of his performances, shipped it around to labels, and Capitol Records snatched him up like they'd found the next big thing. Because honestly, they had. His debut single, I Like That, dropped in March 2004, featuring Chingy, Nate Dogg, and I-20, and that record took off. Number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 3 on the R&B charts. And then the McDonald's deal happened. Y'all remember when getting your song in a McDonald's commercial was basically the holy grail? That meant your song was playing in every household, every commercial break, every single day. Houston was 20 years old and was already getting the kind of exposure that artists spend entire careers trying to get. His debut album, It's Already Written, dropped in August and went gold in a month. 1 month. His second single, Ain't Nothing Wrong, was right behind it, climbing the charts. The kid was being compared to the greats. Capitol Records was looking at this boy like he was about to be their cash cow for the next decade. And Houston? He was just a kid from LA trying to figure out how to handle all of this while still remembering to call his mama. But see, here's what Capitol Records and the general public didn't know. Or maybe they did know and just didn't care because the checks were clearing. Houston was already struggling. Bad. According to Kay Sly, an LA radio personality who appeared in the I Like That video and was tight with Houston's camp, the singer had been under psychiatric care for manic depression. That's what we call bipolar disorder today. On top of that, Houston was battling a PCP addiction. Now, for those of y'all who don't know what PCP does to a person, let me paint the picture real quick. PCP, aka angel dust, is the kind of drug that makes people think they can fly. Literally. It causes hallucinations, violent psychotic episodes, delusions, paranoia, and a complete break from reality. You mix that with untreated bipolar disorder and a 20-year-old kid who was raised in church and is now being thrust into an industry full of temptation, pressure, snakes, and sleepless nights. That's not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster. And everybody around him could see the pot boiling over, but nobody turned down the heat because the stove was making too much money. Instead of pulling Houston back and getting him the help he clearly needed, Capitol Records did what labels do. They put him on a plane to Europe for a promotional tour. Gotta keep the momentum going, right? Albums don't promote themselves. Interviews don't do themselves. Shows don't perform themselves. So off Houston went across the Atlantic carrying a gold album on his back and a whole lot of unresolved trauma in his chest. January 27th, 2005, London, England. Houston is in his hotel room in the middle of his European tour, and something snaps. Under the influence of PCP and in the grip of a full psychotic break, Houston tries to jump out of the window. His bodyguard Marco Powell and the rest of his entourage grab him just in time before he goes over. They wrestle him down, drag him to the first floor, and lock him in a room, thinking, okay, we stopped him. It's over. He's safe now. He's on the first floor. What's the worst that could happen? Well, in that room, completely disconnected from reality, Houston was telling people around him that he was Jesus Christ and that he wanted to go home to his Father. And then he did something that to this day makes my stomach turn just thinking about it. Houston Summers IV took a plastic fork and gouged his own left eye out of his head. A plastic fork, the kind you get at a fast food restaurant. His bodyguard Marco Powell came to check on him later and described what he found in a statement that still gives me chills. He said, "I went to check on him before going to bed, and I saw blood on the floor." Houston was lying on his bed with a towel over his face, and I removed the towel to find his eye hanging out. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. Houston was arrested by London police, hospitalized, and then shipped off to a rehab facility for a grand total of 2 weeks. 2 weeks? As if you can patch up a missing eyeball in 20 years of untreated mental illness with a 14-day program and a pat on the back. Make it make sense. Now here's where the tea starts spilling, because the industry's response to this whole situation was absolutely disgusting. Capitol Records put out their little generic statement saying, "Our thoughts and prayers are with Houston during this tragic time." Thoughts and prayers. The corporate equivalent of sending a thumbs up emoji to someone who just told you their house burned down. And what did they do next? They dropped him from the label. Done. Finished. Contract terminated. This man gave them a gold album, a top 10 single, and a McDonald's campaign. And the second he became inconvenient, they cut him loose faster than you can say quarterly earnings report. But wait, it gets better. Houston's publicist decided to spin the narrative in the most 2005 way possible. Instead of being transparent about what happened, instead of saying, "Hey, our artist is struggling with bipolar disorder and substance abuse and we failed to protect him," they put out a statement saying Houston had found himself in the midst of a spiritual battle against the evil that runs rampant in the entertainment industry. A spiritual battle. That's how they explained a psychotic break induced by PCP and untreated bipolar disorder. The devil made him do it, y'all. That's the official story they went with in 2005, with a straight face. Meanwhile, the photos of Houston's injury were leaking all over the internet. People were sharing them like trading cards, making jokes, cracking memes before memes were even really a thing. Nobody was asking if this young man was okay.
Everything was going a little bit too hard on me.
Nobody was asking how a 21-year-old with a documented mental illness and a drug problem ended up alone in a hotel room in a foreign country with nothing but his demons and a plastic fork. The only person in the entire industry who showed an ounce of humanity was Bushwick Bill from the Geto Boys. And if you don't know Bushwick Bill's story, in 1991 he lost his own eye during a suicide attempt gone wrong. So when Bill heard about Houston, he immediately put out a statement and said, "Fame will make you crazy. Fame isn't for everybody." He said he wanted Houston to know he was in his prayers and hoped his eye would heal, as well as his mind and emotions. That's how you respond to someone in crisis, not with thoughts and prayers and a terminated contract. Houston went back to LA, apologized to the public, and said, "Everything was clobbering down on me. Everything was going a little bit too hard on me." And then he vanished. Gone. Like smoke in the wind. For years, nobody heard from Houston Summers. No music, no interviews, no appearances, nothing. The man who had the biggest song in America 10 months earlier was now a ghost. He popped up briefly in 2008 for some random interview with a small outlet called Hood News, where he talked about his eye and launched a campaign called Stop the Sodomy and Gang Rape in Prison, which, okay, Houston, that was random, but all right. A couple of unreleased tracks leaked that same year, but Capitol obviously wasn't backing anything, and nobody else was lining up to sign the guy who gouged his eye out in a London hotel. Then 2012 rolls around and Houston's name pops up again, but not for music. TMZ gets a hold of a mugshot. Houston had been pulled over near Malibu for DUI, and his booking photo went viral. Not because of the DUI, because of the missing eye. The internet had its fun all over again. Shared it everywhere, laughed, made comments. This man's lowest moment became entertainment for the second time. Same trauma, different year, same cruelty. And in 2021, 16 years after the incident, Houston quietly dropped an independent album called We Have a Problem. No label backing, no promotion, no press run, no interviews, no nothing. That album came and went, and I guarantee you 99% of y'all reading this right now didn't even know it existed. Because nobody covered it. Nobody cared. The industry had moved on a long time ago. So where is Houston Summers the fourth right now in 2026? He's 42 years old, he's alive, and that's genuinely about all anyone knows. No public social media, no interviews, no sightings, nothing. The man is basically a walking ghost story in R&B. And what really kills me about this whole situation isn't just what happened to Houston. It's the fact that if this had happened today, things might have been different. In 2026, we talk about mental health. We have therapy normalized in the Black community. Artists openly discuss their struggles with bipolar disorder and depression. Kid Cudi talked about it. Kanye talked about it whether we wanted him to or not. But in 2005, if you were a young Black man in the music industry and you had a breakdown, you were either crazy, on drugs, or both. And the industry didn't rehabilitate you, they replaced you. Houston Summers deserved better than a 2-week rehab stint, a terminated contract, and 20 years of being the punchline to a joke he never signed up for. That man deserved treatment, compassion, a real support system. Instead, he got a press release about spiritual warfare and a mugshot that went viral 7 years later. If I Like That ever made you nod your head, if that beat ever got stuck in your brain during a McDonald's commercial, then you owe it to yourself to know the story of the man behind the music. Do y'all think Capitol Records should be held accountable? And where do you think Houston is right now? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, and stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.